Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or evening, or maybe it's morning. I don't know where you may be in the world. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and joining me today in GT Challenge is Cameron Roger. You joining us, and that is because poor old Aiden is under the weather. So I believe he's caught the dreaded COVID. So let's wish him all the best. But it's great for Cameron, because Cameron, you're joining us for GT Challenge. I've been covering, obviously, the BMW series with you throughout. So you're going to see some names you're going to recognize from that. And, of course, it is Sebring.
It absolutely is. And we saw an amazing race last week, both in the BMW M2 CS Racing Cup and also the GT Pro Series as well. So Sebring always delivering a really great race. And I'm sure we're going to get another one here today.
Yeah, as you can see, we are into round 4 of 6. That is because Silverstone has been moved to the end of the series. It was missed earlier on. It is, of course, going to be another 15-minute qualification setup, which is actually going on right now in the background. We'll jump to that in a second. 15-minute race, sprint race, followed by a reverse grid for the top 10 into the 45-minute main race. It is clear today, Cameron. That's important because obviously the GT Pro guys had it in the wet. We, of course, will be having a nice, clear track, though, so none of that shenanigans. We saw a couple of spins, a couple of power slides, certainly a lot of power slides. Ruben was having a great old time. Here are the previous winners so far of the sprint and the main race across the first 3 rounds. Prezi Martono and Yuri Toman. I told you we were basically talking about the BMW Challenge Series, right? Marcel Shinchik for the 2 sprint races, and then Luis Felipe Capamagian stepping up in the main race, and Matt Richards last time out on the Nürburgring picking himself up a win for the Zansho. So now we move across into Sebring. Of course, very different track. We all know about the big old bumpy sunset bend straight after the Ormond Straight. That's where a lot of overtakes will happen. But as we saw throughout both the BMW Cup last week and, of course, the GT Pro, following that, honestly, they're not looking at overtakes on straights. We saw many side-by-sides throughout corner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to the hairpin.
Yeah, this track really sort of invites you to start racing in the corners. It has got effectively 5 straights, but the corners are really nice, and there's some sections of corners that you might get up the inside of one corner, but then that puts you to the outside of the next, and we're going to see a lot of battling. So I think the drivers are going to really enjoy themselves. And obviously on your screen you can see this is what they're fighting for. They're fighting to get into that GT Pro series, so you definitely know that they're going to be fighting to the absolute limit.
Yeah, we should also mention that there is actually, relegations that happen throughout the GT Challenge. This is the Series 1, the sort of top end of the GT Challenge that can get into that GT Pro, but you can also get relegated out of it. There are many series underneath it. You can see promotions and demotions will be happening after round 3 and round 5. So they are safe for now. It does mean, of course, we've got a few new names within there. We saw, obviously, taking part previously. Here you can see Marcel Shinchik at the top of the table currently. Obviously looking for that direct promotion into the GT Pro. A couple of the guys also going to be going through possible qualifications, but it's still pretty close, Cameron, overall. You can see also the red tracks are the ones that I believe they're choosing to drop and will not use for the points going forward.
Yeah, the drop score is a really intriguing one. Obviously, on your best 5 out of the 6 rounds are taken into account. So that does mean it does give you the opportunity really to have a bit of a bad race. However, you obviously still want to be getting the maximum amount of points that you can, and you don't really want to be choosing to have a bad race. And actually, Chinchik leading the way by only 5 points, so it is still very close indeed, and I'm pretty sure this is going to go down to the final race in Silverstone in about a month's time, so there's still plenty of action to happen before then.
Yeah, great to see the Varga Sim Racing guys 1 and 2, as well as 4 actually. I know Tello, Rocek's not part of it. I was thinking of Schmiedel actually, but he doesn't take part in the GT Challenge so far. These are the guys that came up in the previous week. Did obviously race at the Nürburgring, didn't get that successful a spot. They were all outside of the points in the main race, certainly in the sprint race, sorry. The main race, they started to step it up. Poor old Remco Major, I believe, got penalized somewhere in there as well. So I believe it wasn't him that collected Marcel Shinchik. I think it was. Further down the pack, Shinchik ending up a little further down, had a fantastic comeback performance within that race. As you can see, he won the sprint race, back-to-back on the sprint races, and then got collected. I think he got sent down to about 16th or 18th or something like that, and made a great comeback to get into the top 10. There is the man on your screen on the outlap right now. You can see he holds currently the fastest time out there in the McLaren. And of course, it is his teammate right up behind him, and it does look like they have a pretty good lead. I bet you feel right at home now, don't you, with the BMWs?
Well, yeah, exactly. And also just the Varga boys in general. Obviously, as we mentioned previously, in the BMW M2, they're doing really well. In VEC as well, they're having an amazing time. So they're doing really good at the moment, and it's good to see that this is continuing throughout certain different disciplines, different cars. They're really getting on top of rFactor 2. And it wouldn't be, even though we're only halfway through the season before this race, it wouldn't surprise me if these guys get into GT Pro next season, and that's going to be really interesting to see what they can do when they fight up against the big boys. But they've still got 6 total races towards the end of the season to make sure they're not making any mistakes, and at the moment with over a 0.2 of a second lead, Chinchik is certainly doing that for pole position. Oh, he goes a bit too wide there. That's not going to be another
backed out straight away. Yeah, instantly backs out. So the warm-up backs off. Let's see what his teammate can do. Yuri Toman here. Kappermann certainly able to put it out there. Daniel Kish, that's someone that's had, honestly, some fantastic qualifying and just had the worst luck in the race itself. That is okay. How close to track limits can you go there? Because that looked like it was fully off, but I don't know whether track limits cuts in on that particular chicane.
Yeah, the track cuts is an interesting one. You can really push the limits, but obviously at the end of the day, it's still really what the game detects is what you are going to be going by. And you can see it's Ginger trying to use all of the road there, but just getting too much on the grass, and he would have lost way too many tenths already down to turn 2 and 3. So that's quite an important one. But for his teammate Yuri Toman, he's gone purple in that first sector, and he's only slightly slower by a few hundredths of a second in this second sector. And now it's all about really this chicane and then the really bumpy sunset corner to really lose all your lap time. If you make a mistake, you've done your amazing lap all the way, and then you get this really tricky, awkward final corner. You have 10-15 seconds coming down this straight thinking about it, and then you just make one tiny mistake and the lap time all goes.
Let's see if he can get his point perfect. Many different lines for this. Oh, getting a bit squirrely, fighting the wheel, that's for sure. Is it going to lose him time? That's the question. You can see he had to back out on the accelerator just a touch there, but it's looking like it could be a good lap for him. It is an improvement on his time, but it's not enough to challenge Hinchik. You can see just 0.003 of a second off him. Christian Mikel, let's see what he can do. Looks like it's going to improve his time. He's currently 5th on moment. Will he go any higher? Yes. Goes up to 4th place, knocks Daniel Kish down into 5th. Now Daniel Donat Prodan also improving his time, currently 12th. Can he get towards the top 10? Jakovic did. Diogo Silva knocks him back down instantly in that 9th place. Prodan over the line any second now, looking like a good time, but it's not going to be much of an improvement for him.
And these lap time distribution is actually quite interesting. Kapamachan 3rd place, but 0.4 off that pole position, and it's still only 1 second for the top 14. So there's plenty of big gaps out there. So these drivers trying to improve should be able to make up some positions if they really nail their lap. As we look at Vak now, come around the final corner, currently in 24th place. Where's he going to get himself up to? Up into 20th place. So still a little bit of improvement if he wants to get further up the field. As we know, the main points are in that feature race, but you need to get yourself into that reverse grid in the sprint race to really elevate your position. Even if you're a bit worse in qualifying, you can still get yourself a potential reverse grid pole position, and that's really where the main points are in the feature race.
Sudavaya looking to get himself into the top 10 shootout. Did have a much better run out on the Nürburgring, but as it stands, currently languishing down in 11th position. It is a green lap, so it's looking like he could well challenge Jakovic, who was only 1/1000th of a second, 100th of a second ahead of him, 9,000th if we're going to get really precise. But at the moment, Cedar Vire, this should be an improvement. This will put him into the top 10 if he deals with Sunset Bend right, which he looked a little squirrely, but he got a hold of it in the end there. Goes as close as he can up into 6th, and look at that, the Zansho boys 5th, 6th and 7th locking out that grid so far.
Yeah, that's a really good point for them for some team play as well, trying to get themselves in a good position to defend from each other, and also just in general being in a pretty decent position, as we now see David Mrocek coming around in his Bentley P8 currently, but doing a personal best. He's still 1.5 tenths down on the leader in the first sector, but as we come to the end of sector 2, he's going slightly slower again, so he needs to really work hard coming through this sector 3. Now, tricky sequence of corners, as we mentioned previously, but it's a very important section of corners as you come towards the end of the lap, especially this one out onto the back straight. Don't want to be going onto the grass, and he didn't, so this could be a pretty decent sector 3.
Certainly looking to improve his time. Somebody that has, Martin Durland, just posting a fantastic time, going into 4th now. Christian Mikel also just posting his increased time, but it still remains in 5th now, just ahead of the Zanshos. Now Rocek, let's see what he can do as he comes over the line. Certainly put up a fantastic race last series, and now he comes through. That is a great time into 3rd place, 0.3 off Marcel Chinchik's flying lap in those McLarens. Matt Richards now looking to improve his time. He slid all the way down to 9th. He was looking golden before. Looks like Cito Vias just improved his, but remains in 8th, as well as Martono still in that 10th place. Matt Richards down the straight, looking to turn in. Can he find the point? Absolutely pinpoint. It's so interesting to see the different lines that these drivers do take around Sunset Bend. It is such a huge bouncy thing, and this time he hugs it tight, very tight, lets it loose, swings it out, gets as close as he dares to the wall, and now comes over the line and improves his time. It's enough to take him up into 3rd. A fantastic, but look at this purple sector from Capomaggia now out on the track.
And it's coming into his very fast, very difficult final corner. He goes a little bit wide there, but that's going to give him a nice tight exit, and that'll be plenty early on the power. Can this be good enough to get himself on the pole position, at least on the front row? That'll put him in such a good position for this first sprint race, and he goes up into 3rd place. So 3rd drive in a row to get that 3rd place, but only just over a 10th off the pole position, as we now come to the other Zansho of Daniel Kish, also on a very good lap. So the times are really starting to tumble as the rubber gets on the track and the lap times get even quicker.
They're getting closer to the Varga Sim Racing team, there's no doubt about it. They were 0.4 ahead at one point, but now it's down to 0.1. Is somebody going to be able to split them up on the front of the grid, though? Daniel Kish going really wide out there, hugging that wall, and he will go over that, and that's going to be a 6th place for him. Nico Barkley trying to improve his time. 14th was his position. David Prodan once again. It was a really loose first sector for him. It looks like at 0.8 adrift. That's definitely going to be a tough old time for him to try and increase, and it will still be 13th for him, so not looking like he's going to get any better this time out. Who else is out the grid? 1 minute 31 to go. Plenty of time to try and post one last lap. Anyone out that started over the line? The crop down in 20 seconds as he comes down the Ullman has remotely improved, certainly in the second sector, but you can see the first sector very much adrift, so I'll be surprised if he can make that up in the 3rd.
Yeah, needs to do a little bit of work in this final sector as he's in this Audi 2019 model coming around the final corner. Where is he going to put himself? Doesn't use all of the road, so there's still a few thousandths of a second left on the road, but where can he get himself? He's going to stay in 22nd, and unfortunately that's going to be where he starts, as there's not going to be enough time for him to complete another lap.
It looks to me like the Thrice, no, they're not missing. They're just not posting a time. Down in 16th. I don't know if that's Johannes or Philip that's down there. Brothers-in-law, by the way, not actual brothers, brothers-in-law. So David Plagnol looking to increase his time, currently down in 27th. What a time to make up down there, there's no doubt about it. Looks like Fernandez, Shepard and Yunt yet to post a time as well down on the bottom. I don't think they're going to be able to get a timeout. It looks like with just 15 seconds to go, if they're still in the pits, it ain't going to happen for them. So they're all going to be starting down the back of the track. It does look like our front runners are going to be the Varga Sim Racing team, unless Daniel Kish and Martin Doolan can post something special in their final run. Planiol over the line. It is an improvement, but not enough to send him up there. Rocek is out and has, well, ever so slightly improved his first sector by 0.4. Now we see a 0.1. That's enough, you know. That's enough for pole. If he can wrap this lap up, it may well be enough out there. No purples yet, but it's looking good.
And even if it's not pole position, getting himself up towards that top 3, maybe even second place on the grid is going to be a really great place. It's always better when you start from the front of the field. And as he comes towards his final corner, he'll be hoping he doesn't make any mistakes. As 5th place is a decent place, but it always allows you to get involved with some more action that you don't want in that sprint race. And now coming around the final corner, what is he going to do? Looks fairly clean, but is it going to be fast? He's going all the way to the tyre wall, and now the Conqueror coming across the line. Is he going to improve himself? Is he going to get himself to the top? No, just one position into 4th place, but that's still good improvement. Now via across the line, he goes up into 6th place. So Zansho getting 2 drivers there inside the top 6.
That's good for them. It means they can lock out that 3rd row. Now, Matt Richards looking to try and improve his time. He's green so far. Rocek has just knocked him down into 4th. He may be able to improve it and retake that 4th position. It's looking likely with the time improvements, but now he comes over the line. What's he done in the final sector? Is it enough? Yes. We're back up into 4th position. Yuri Toman also out there. Imagine, purple in the first, but looks like he went a little untidy. And I say only a little because it is 0.1 adrift in that yellow second sector. What's he done in the 3rd? 3rd place already on the leaderboard. Can he get further up on the grid? No, he's pulled out. Ooh. He's pulled out. Didn't feel it.
Yeah, he obviously felt that he wasn't going to go quicker. Interestingly, he still didn't complete the time anyway, but it was obviously much slower. As we see Javanka there going up into 25th place. And that looks like it's all the drivers. So your grid is set for the sprint race.
So it is the Varga Sim Racing team that have managed to lock out that front row position. Marcel Shinchik once again delivering. He has won the last 2 sprint races back to back. Can he do it once again here at Sebring and make it the Triple Crown? What a fantastic performance that would be. And then, of course, moving on to that 45-minute race, he is going to be challenged by Yuri Toman in 2nd place up behind him. And as you can see, we will have 30 drivers, and it is a full field as far as I could tell today, although we did have 3 drivers that yet to post a time. It will be clear weather, none of the rain that we had last week out in the GT Pro and also in the BMW Sim M2 Cup Series. And this is, of course, round 4 of 6. We've had some fantastic racing ahead of us. We still have Indianapolis and Silverstone to conclude the series after this. But so far, there is a real challenge, as I like to put it, against the drivers up in the Pro Series. I think we're going to be seeing these Varga Sim Racing guys there next season.
Yeah, we certainly are, but they've still got the job to do. 6 races remaining in total. Well, obviously round 4, 5 and 6, 2 races each, so still plenty of opportunity for mistakes, but hopefully they're not going to do any today because they want to have a bit of an easier race, a bit of a better race to try and get those points, but it's not going to be easy. There's some fast drivers behind them, but for the likes of Marcel Chinchik, he has had loads of pressure, as we mentioned last week in the BMW race. Around this circuit, he was able to hold off all the pressure from the guys behind him, and already winning the last 2 sprint races as well shows he's clearly capable of doing so, but he needs to do that another time here in Sebring.
Absolutely. Some previous results, previous history of him, and out in the warm-up, just getting themselves used to the full fuel. Obviously it's all qualification, very much hot lapping, but once you tank up those cars for the 15-minute race and then of course the 45-minute race afterwards, it is definitely going to feel very differently. You've got to pitch your braking points slightly earlier, just account for that slight extra little bit of roll in the corners, especially when you're in a huge thing like the Bentleys right here.
The Bentley is a big boy in terms of its size, but it's a fairly competitive car. That's obviously why some of the drivers have chosen it this season. There was obviously a BOP change as well, but especially at the start of the season, it was a very good car indeed. And you can see with, for instance, where Mocek qualified up in the top 5, it's certainly a very fast car. And the car choice is actually quite interesting. There's a whole range of different cars that we're seeing. Obviously, the Zansho boys have gone with the newer McLaren, the 720S, but Vargo go with the older one, the 650, and then there's obviously 2 types of the Audi as well. We've got the Bentley in there. So there's all sorts of different cars, and that's one reason why it makes GT3 racing so special, is the fact that you have all these different manufacturers but still racing at a pretty competitive playing field.
I'm trying to think whether we've had Joao Travanca started, I think it was the Nürburgring was his first race, if I'm not mistaken there. His teammate in GTC Race Centre. The 2 very easy to spot orange Audis. There's no mistaking them. And further field, Nico Barkley. Always been a staple diet here and there. Was in the GT Pro for a time. Down here in the GT Challenge. Some reason I really remember him in that Callaway Corvette. I don't know why. I think it's because he pirouetted a few times. He was involved in some of the accidents in the midfield a number of times, which is probably why I remember him so vividly. But Nico, not sure he'd be quite happy about it. Me reminded everyone of that, but certainly has been in and around there. David Rocek had a fantastic race last time out in the Nürburgring. Was absolutely superb, and we were talking about whether he was losing out. He was the train leader, if I remember correctly. There was quite a backlog up behind him, but in the end defended very well throughout that race until it was Yuri Toman that binned it, right, trying to overtake him on the final corner, if memory serves, at the Nürburgring. And then
I remember him being not too happy about the situation as well. But that's racing, you know. When you're fighting to get up higher into these places, you end up doing or getting into some crazy battles sometimes. So yeah, hopefully we won't see any of that. But this track is certainly going to induce some pretty hectic racing. So don't be surprised if there's going to be some absolutely incredible dive bombs and such like that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yuri Toman, obviously a fantastic driver, was a little bit of if gap car, and unfortunately it was just a little too. I mean, there really wasn't a chance to overtake there. I've got to be honest. It's as simple as that. Like, how often do you get people overtaking on the final bend of the Nürburgring? Not very often. Tried to just squeeze it up in there, but yeah, unfortunately it didn't work out for him. Donat Prodan certainly been putting in the times. We'll see whether he can put it together in the warm-up race, which will be happening in just a few moments. As just to remind you guys, it's going to be a 15-minute race of the sprint race, and then into the 45-minute main race. There will be a top 10 reverse grid, so that means 10th place in the sprint race will be starting out on pole position on the main race, and vice versa. So it puts that extra challenge, that extra pressure on the driver that comes out on top. Certainly sets the pole lap. Obviously, he is the quickest in certainly the qualification. And then see what he can do in the sprint race. If he can come out on top in there, well, then the real challenge begins. Can he bring it from 10th back to 1st? We have seen it happen a couple of times. I believe Michio Hoya and Ehan Yuyovsky are 2 drivers that have done it so far. We'll see whether any of these drivers can join them. As I say, Varga Sim Racing locking out the front row. Marshall Shinsik and Yuri Toman there. Luis Felipe Capamagian. And I was about to say Matt Webb, but it's not Matt Webb from the Zansho. Rocek in 5th, Ciro Vaya in 6th place, Christian Mikel down in 7th, and I missed 8th place. Great, I'm slacking here. Martin Dillon in 9th place, Jakovic in 10th, Diogo Silva and his teammate Presley Martono down in 11th and 12th. Donat Prodan in 13th, Nico Barkley in 14th, Remco Major in his 2nd race in the series in 15th, Philip Dries in 16th position. He had a great performance in the BMWs the other week. Paul August Lana in 17th, Dafa Ardiansa in 18th, Stepkovsky in 19th, and I missed that one. They're going so quick. They're going so quick. I've got to be quicker. I've got to be quicker. Gile Mas and the Krupp in 21st, 22nd. Vac and Marquez in 23rd and 24th. Down lower down the grid is people that didn't actually set times. Some of these did. Travanka did in 25th, but then Kurzian, I think, managed to get a time in there 26th, but then I didn't see. Planiol was out there, actually. He got 27th. I think I just missed Marquez. Chris Shepard just about getting in the server on time this week. And David Yunt, I don't think either of those set a time there. Chris Shepard, great that he's been able to join here at last. I do remember in the last round he was desperately trying to join the server and could not get in, but he has managed to get in there this time around. So, formation lap. Cameron, where's your money in the sprint race?
It's hard to take it away from Chinchik. He's won the last two, as we previously said, but his teammate Yuri Toman is not going to let him have it easy. And we also have, obviously, the drivers behind them of Kapamadjian, who's in 2018 Audi, which is a very strong car as well. So that is something to look out for. But then also you got all these Zanshos. Zansho bias is real on this right-hand side of the track with Kishfire and Richards, also Mrocek as well. All of these guys are looking very good and very strong, but I wouldn't take my money away from Chinchik. I think he's going to be able to take it away. However, there's plenty of room to make mistakes on this track, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of drivers going off and making a few errors here and there.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment his biggest threat is his teammate, which certainly I don't think they'd be too happy with one another if they did manage to get close. They've certainly had some incredibly close racing over the rounds, both here in GT Challenge and in the BMW Sim M2 Cup. So everybody just getting themselves sized up. We have quite a few teammates alongside one another here. Here's the big Bentley up front of Mrocek. It was Matt Richards, apologies, on the Zansho in 4th place that I missed, who actually won the main race in the Nürburgring last round. So certainly one to keep your eye on here. Cracking qualifying time for him. See whether he can turn things around in the sprint race, and you can see they're going to really bunch up closely. At what point will Chinchik drop his right foot, setting himself up, run Sunset Bend? You can see everybody's bunching up. I no doubt they're 3 wide behind them at the moment. They're trying to keep it in double file, but it's just waiting. Chinchik's holding them. When's he going to put his foot down? And looks like he's still hanging on. You can see Kapamadjian trying desperately. They're also wide at the back. Everybody looking to get past, and Chinchik finally puts his foot down, but my word, they're about 5 wide coming into this first corner. Finally, it looks like Yuri Toman's got himself a cracking start there as he takes the lead. Chinchik just wrestling with Matt Richards at the moment, and Richards is nuzzling his way through into 2nd place. Kapamadjian looking for an opportunity. Oh my word, that looked like a massive clash further down the field. That looked like an absolute calamity as there was cars left and right. I will have a look at replaying that at the moment, because that looked like a massive accident further down the field.
Now, unfortunately, many drivers involved in that one, a little bit further down, so it's not going to involve any of these top runners. But Matt Richards there getting a really good start, almost got into 2nd place, but at least getting past Kapamadjian, had that outside line, used it really well. And due to that slow start, the cars were just so bunched up in those first couple of corners. But it seems, at least for the top guys, they got out fairly nicely indeed. And Toman actually got into the lead, so Chinchik needs to do something to get back at that, because obviously losing out the lead is not what he wanted to do. So Toman having a really good start there as well, so it's not too bad for the Varga boys, but I'm sure this battle is going to rage on throughout the next 13.5 minutes.
Remco Major up into 10th place. What a performance it has been for him at the start of this race. It does seem, I'm seeing Martona Dries up there as well, so clearly there was an accident around about the 10th position. It looked like quite a few cars were involved in that one. At the moment, though, as you say, Yuri Toman, cracking start for him. Chinchik really bunched them up to right up until the start line there, and that's why we ended up having about 5 wide down the straight there coming into that first corner, which was almost certainly going to be a recipe, because further down the field, you don't know whether the lead is gone yet. You're just guessing. You're trying to guess. Everybody starts to sort of edge forward, and then you've got to slam the brake, and it's almost inevitable there will be contact further down the field when that happens. Almost this what's the word I'm after when they concertina effect. That's the word I'm looking for. But here you go, coming through the first corner. Let's have a look at this replay, Cameron, and see exactly where it all went wrong. Oh, this is from Christian Mikel. You can see just how bunched up they were.
And they're almost 3 wide there with the leaders. That's Chinchik on the inside. He's got his teammate Toman going around the outside. I mean, he's now 3 wide again as you go to Diogo Silva. Oh, he gets hit by one of the Zanchos. There might be a Kish there with the Hungarian car, and that's just going to cause a huge Constantine, as you say. I think, yeah, Nico Barkley's in there. Matthew De Croo is in there as well. Plenty of cars getting hit. That must be about 10 cars at least getting involved in that one. So that is not what you want to see. You can see at the bottom left of your screen, Michelle, Jakubovic, Barkley all in the pit lane getting some damage repairs, and some other drivers already 20-30 seconds off the lead. So that's not what we wanted to see, especially in the sprint race, because you have no time to really get any major damage back.
So let's have a look. This is from poor old Nico Barkley. So Cedo Vire, I think it is, that's just in front there. He's the one that I believe gets the first knock here. So he gets collected, comes around, collects a spin there. Barkley gets collected by the front end, and he's just pirouetting across the front of it. He knew at that moment that his life was flashing in front of his life. How he actually manages to catch it and carry on is actually very impressive. He didn't lose any too much damage from that one. But yeah, there was it all began. It looked like simply from just too many cars going into the first corner.
Yeah, they were just too many cars too close together, and as soon as one guy makes a little bit of a mistake, it just causes a massive chain reaction, unfortunately. And to be fair, it actually hasn't turned out too badly. Most of the field is still going in a fairly nice manner. Obviously, there'll be a little bit of damage here and there for some of the drivers, but they're not doing too badly, all things considered, which is really great news as we jump back now to Kurjan coming round the outside of Marquez, and that's going to be a really nice slipstream off the Corvette in front of him as well. So he's going to have to go round the outside, but then that's going to push him all the way over the bumps, and he's going to have a longer distance as well. But can he keep it flat out around the outside, which I think he's just going to be able to do, and that's going to give him the inside as well. 2 turn number 1, so really nice move there around the outside. But they've also got Chris Shepherd just coming up behind them now for that 22nd place.
Yeah, one of those drivers that didn't get to post a time in qualifying, so is perhaps a little out of position. I don't know. Chris Shepherd certainly looking to keep it. Hello, that's Excursions over the grass. Slow car on the left there. And, well, it does look like they're going to try and improve their positions here. Kurjan absolutely all over the back of Paul Augustin Lana, who went for that deviation over the grass. Now coming into the hairpin right on his back end there. Trying to slow that huge car down. Has some massive brakes on it to just keep him in check behind that McLaren.
Yeah, you got to be careful with making mistakes or not, as you'll just be eaten alive. You can see here, oh, there's a car going really slowly. That must be someone who's already made a pit stop and is probably 1 lap down. But yeah, the second you make a little bit of a mistake, you've just got all these cars behind you coming past, so you've really got to be aware. As we now got August Lana trying to go around the outside of Marquez. There's going to be a bit of contact there, and I think it's tiny a secondary contact as well. But that Corvette Volante is through there on the DX Droids of Marquez. A little bit of a aggressive move there, but at least always going to be a bit of a late braking move there as well from Marquez. He's now going to be shoved out by Shepherd. That's going to cause a bit of a spin if these guys don't hold it together. I think they just about do, but once again, Wagner is going to go for a bit of a spin. He's going to collect it. Or is he going to actually catch it? Just about, I think, which is just good enough for these drivers. But all sorts going on here. Too much contact and too much aggression, really.
Absolutely. It did look like it was all stemming from... it wasn't Marquez. It was Paul Augustin Lana just going a little slower. Yuri Toman. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, this is the start. So let's see. Chinchik just holding it. And you can see Toman's ready to go. Now, was he ahead before he went over the line there? It looked like he was just about behind him. Certainly, I mean, he could see the line, so he knew that Chinchik was just a little slow off the start. But the fact is, when you're over that line, you're over that line, and Chinchik was just holding them up too long, if anything.
Yeah, it obviously depends when the green flag exactly happens, and obviously Toman slowed down and then sped up. So by the time he was side by side, he would have been probably 5 kilometers or so faster in the straight line. So well played there from Toman. We'll have to see if that comes to anything. I think that was just pretty decent play, to be honest. You're generally allowed to be sort of around and about the car on your same row. You're not really allowed to overtake ahead of you, if that makes sense. So I think that will probably go down as being a pretty good move there from Toman to get into that lead. And Chinchik now, he hasn't really been able to respond just yet, but that shows you just how close on pace these 2 Varga boys are. So they're doing a good job for now, and that would be good for Toman if he can get this victory, but he's still getting under plenty of pressure from Chinchik.
Rocek really trying to put the pressure onto Kapamajian at the moment. Luis Felipe is certainly under the pressure while he tries to stay on the back of Matt Richards, who's had a relatively quiet third place so far. Obviously, he did have a little bit of rustling, elbows out, don't know what you want to call it, with Chinchik at the start there in that first corner. Did get ahead briefly, but lost out in the hairpin. Now further down the field, Donat Prodan with Martin Dulland up behind him. Dulland just had a performance to forget in the Nürburgring, I think it's safe to say, but looking to certainly get himself back in there. Of course, he can just remove that time. Now looking to get up the inside, just put the pressure around Sunset and maybe just force Prodan to go defensive and end up swinging it wide. But Prodan looks like he's going to make that back end of that McLaren as wide as he can as he takes it to the wall.
Yeah, that wall on the outside is just drawing you in, as we're going to see a replay now of Tomasz Vak, and it's going to see all the contact there with Shepard and Marquez. They're going to be bouncing off each other, and then it's just Marquez coming over to the right hand side there. Vak had nowhere really to go, to be honest. He was already on the right hand side of the track, so I don't think that was really his fault in the end. But then it was sort of Shepard's fault for pushing Marquez out as well, so that was a bit of an interesting situation. But I think Marquez maybe just didn't see Vak coming with the overspeed.
Yeah, I mean, he got knocked off the track, rejoined the track, straight into Vak, and straight back onto the racing line. Didn't even give him a chance, really. Vak was just sent spiralling without any hope whatsoever. Wow, Dylan right on the back end there, through the hairpin and chicanes as he keeps the pressure onto Donat Prodan in 7th place at the moment. These are very important positions, of course, because as we were talking about, the sprint race will have that reverse grid with just 6 minutes remaining in this. You're looking at just a couple more laps, so he really wants to try and get it done and get past and get as many points as he can. As I say, Nürburgring, I feel, was one to forget for Derlin, so he's looking to try and improve here.
So I see Remco Major dropping down as well. So he's had a DNF somewhere, but now Darland is trying to get down the inside. That's going to be a really good overtaking opportunity if he can get there. But Prodan's just going to slice him off just enough to hold on to that position. Darland's fighting very hard for this one. That's such a close battle coming into this sequence of corners. Now out onto the Ullmann straight. This is going to be a really good opportunity to get the slipstream, but he just lost a little bit of time there mid-corner, and I think it's going to be a little bit too difficult to get to the slipstream, at least down into that final corner. He's getting in now, but it might be just a little bit too late for him, so he needs to set this one up in the final corner to get that run down into turn 1. He's broken much later. He's going to go for a spin, and he's hit the back of Prodan, who's going to lose plenty of time and positions if he can't get it going, which he can fairly nicely, but he's going to lose another couple there as well. So Prodan getting hit there, and I think there's not really much you can say. That was definitely Darland's fault.
Yeah, just right on his back end here. Philip Dries seems not really able to fight this one off. Don't turn in too much. The answer will send you spiraling. And he's just going to hang on in there very tight on the corner there, looking like a pit stop maneuver. Oh, he's going to try and send it a little deep, just a little nudge back and forward between the two cars. The answer making sure brute forces his way through. And nothing Philip Dries could do about that.
Needs to get the slipstream now down through the Big Ben turn 6. He's actually got a pretty good run here. He might be able to do it down on the brakes, but then we've also got the cars behind with Prodan trying to get back from that spin that he just had as well. So I don't think it's going to be too many overtakes. There might be a bit of contact there. That's going to let Prodan actually get down the inside. Can he get the run out of the corner? No, I don't think he can, unfortunately. But that was getting a bit concertinaed up there into that sequence of corners. All these cars being so close together, and they're trying to actually get towards this P10, which is just up the road, because that's obviously the reverse grid pole position as well, which is all important for those points in the feature race. But here is Darland on the old replay. Just breaks a little bit too deep compared to Prodan, and I don't think he can really argue too much with that.
No, straight in the back of him. And that all sort of came out from the fact that just before the Ullmann, he had to back out a little bit. He got a little too close, had to back out. Obviously, that lost him speed going into the Ullmann, and that gave him that small advantage. It's just these smallish little things trying to set up that overtake effectively rather than, sometimes just riding right on the back of them. Sure, you want to be as close as you can, but now that's a great chance here for... Is it Presley Martono we're following in? No, it's Hardy Answer again. No, it isn't. This is Diogo Silva. Hardy Answer's the one that's ahead. This is Diogo Silva. I'm used to seeing him in... what does he normally drive? I don't feel like he's in the Audi normally. He's in something different normally. But either way, looks like he's changed the car he likes.
And now coming down the straight, we've got Kurtz. And these two... yeah, these two cars are actually fighting down the pit straight, and I think they're going to try and swap positions again as we're trying to see Stokowski come back, but Kurtzen actually is going to hold on to that one. But those two drivers swapping positions a couple of times in that last sequence of corners as we jump back to the leaders, and Chinchik's getting a lot closer to Toman.
Yeah, absolutely. It's starting to reel him in here. They've left everybody else behind. You can see point 2 just sort of setting the pace that they had in qualification effectively now with just 2 minutes remaining. Is it time for Chinchik to try and make a move on his teammate and have a look at this one? Meanwhile, we also see Rocek, who was right on the back of Kapamagin, has fell off a little bit. It's actually Kapamagin that's putting the pressure onto Matt Richards right now in 3rd and 4th position as well. But the race leaders, Yuri Toman and Marcel Chinchik, the Varga Sim Racing, who've honestly dominated GT Challenge so far over the first 3 rounds. Here in round 4 at Sebring, are looking once again to do the same in the sprint race. Of course, as I mentioned, it has been Marcel Chinchik that's won the last 2 rounds back to back in the sprint race and will certainly love to get himself 3 in a row. Yuri Toman is very much in between him. Looks like Matt Richards has found a little bit of groove in the final lap there to stop Kapamagin getting past him, and now we're going to have one last lap remaining to see who is going to get in towards that top 10, who is going to finish out in first place.
And that top 10 battle is looking quite good for Ardianza, who's now got about a second gap to Dries as well. So that is looking pretty good for him. But it is a couple of seconds up the road. If he makes a mistake, then that's going to be really down to him to fight. And there's been a crash ahead. Who is that? That's Philip. Dries is going into the wall. And the car ahead of him, which I think is Silver, has just lost his rear wing as well. So those 2 Audis crashing with only 1 lap to go. That's not going to be good for them, because that's going to drop them way down the points as well. And also that chance getting into that top 10. So that's not good. We didn't really see what happened, but they certainly came together.
Well, I guarantee Ruben's desperately looking for it while we look at the race leaders here. Yuri Toman looking solid for that race win. Chinchik is just 0.4 behind him, looking to see if he's going to make any mistake, but at the moment Toman doesn't look like he wants to make it. And there we are, hot on the heels. Ruben is the man with a can, as Diogo Silva looks like he just goes in too hot, perhaps. No, Dries actually pulled out and he completely caught Silva off guard.
Oh, I think Silver just hit a weird bump as well. That the rear just completely came round as soon as he got on the brake pedals. I think he just chose an awkward bump to go over. Really weird situation, and I think that's definitely going to go down to his fault as we hit 0 minutes remaining. And let's get another replay.
So Dries goes really wide, seems to really back off on the speed. Well, Silver's just coming in too hot. It's just coming in too hot and just completely loses the back end.
Yeah, that's quite a nasty one as well, because Dries wouldn't have seen that coming, and that would have been pretty unfortunate for him. But now this is the last opportunity for Chinchik, trying to get the slipstream. But I don't think it's going to be enough for Yuri Toman, so that potential jump start, we'll have to see what comes with that. But it certainly looks like it's going to be enough to win the race, at least on the road.
Well, with the reverse grid coming in, Yuri Toman will go over the line as the sprint winner here at Sebring, and will be starting out in 10th position. Fantastic work from the Varga Sim Racing team. But we're also going to have an orange lockout, it looks like, as Martono and Ardianza look to go over the line in 9th and 10th. So they're going to be starting out, locking out that front line. We'll see whether we can have similar there. Donat Prodan in 13th position, not going to quite gain any ground to crop there, down in 14th as well. And Kirjan in the end is going to be up in 15th position. Fantastic race for him. Definitely an action-packed Remco Major. What happened further down the field? Well, he's looking like he's very much his car's done. He's done.
Did he blow the engine?
Looked like it. Something.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. Obviously, we saw him DNF a few laps ago. But yeah, here's your result. Yuri Toman getting that victory, but we'll see if that one stands later on in the race. And the Zansho Simsport driver of Matt Richards getting up into that 3rd place. Really good move there on that first lap, which just shows you that those overtakes in that first sequence of corners is very crucial, especially in the sprint race where there's a lot less time for you to be able to get those positions. Daniel Kish, he was involved in that massive spin and concertina in that first sequence of corners as well. He's fairly lucky there to get back up into 8th place. And then we have that lockout, as you say, of the JMX Phantom team with Ardianza, who will be starting on pole for the sprint race.
Further down the field, you can see how it all laid out. Of course, there was that rather large collection of cars. Looks like Philip Dries managed to make it over the line, limp over in 16th after being collected by Diogo Silva. Does mean also Paul August Lana further down in 18th, Chris Shepherd in 19th. A couple of accidents here, there, and everywhere. Obviously, we had a big old collision in the first lap as well, just after the first corner, in all honesty, where everybody was collected. So all the cars further down the field are going to have quite a lot of DNFs in there that were sort of connecting with one another. You can see Silver in the end was a DNF there, but Remco Major blowing the engine. Barkley, Marquez, nothing they could do. Barkley was the one that sent spiraling across the field. Christian Mikel as well, he was also collected within there as well. It was a bit of a nightmare for him. Thomas Vack, he was sent spinning as someone joined the track. And same with David Planiol, was also running well until that finally happened. So plenty of action, no doubt about it, in the first sprint race here. And Sebring, now we're going to be moving over to the main race. Of course, we're going to have that reverse grid, which does mean that Yuri Toman and his teammate Marcel Shinchik will be starting in 9th and 10th.
And this is always the big, not necessarily issue, because I think it's actually a really good thing, where you have the sprint race first and then you have the reverse grid for the feature race. The feature race obviously gets more points, so that is where you really want to be getting your victory. But if you win the sprint race, then you're going to be starting 10th, so there's quite a big difference, and it's going to be a big struggle for you to get back through. But then that is why you have a 45-minute race as well. So I think it's going to be a really exciting race, seeing the likes of Chinchuk and Toman try to come back through the field, but then people that we saw who were still quick but maybe quite couldn't make an overtake, sort of around 5th place, like David Mocek and Sidovaya. I think they're going to have a good opportunity as well to get past those drivers who are on the lower parts of the top 10.
I just wonder, I think it's Adrianza that's on the pole, right? Whether him and Martono are going to be looking at how the start was in the sprint and thinking, you know what, I am not allowing that to happen again, and maybe not letting the pack gather up, because A, it didn't work out for Chinchik because he lost the lead to start with, and B, it would cause a catastrophe they were very much on the limit of. They were very much involved in that. They saw how bad it was. So I'm just wondering whether we're going to see maybe Adrianza, as we've seen a couple of times here at Sebring, put his foot down just as they come around the sunset. Of course, we've got to wait for when the green flags, come out, when they can go exactly. But I'd be very surprised if we see them backing it all the way up to the line like we did with Chinchik there.
Yeah, the issue when you back it up like that is the cars just get way too close together, and then as you come into turn number 1, there's just all sorts going on. If you accelerate a bit earlier, the cars will naturally have spread out a little bit, and it'll make the start a little bit better for everyone. And as we mentioned, we do need to see if anything comes of that Yuri Toman potential jump start as well, because that was certainly getting ahead of his teammate, and Chinchik was the one who was supposed to be dictating the speeds, such as the pole sitter is allowed. So we'll have to see if that's any different. Maybe someone will learn something different for the start of the next race.
Absolutely, and of course we'll see whether they can get past. Can they try and gather it up? Last time out at the Nürburgring, Chinchik was collected on the, I think it was the second or third corner. I think it was the Mercedes-Benz in Nürburgring, where he got collected and spun and sent down to, I think, about 18th position, and to fight his way back from that one. Certainly has it in him. That's the exciting part of the reverse grid. Of course, the drivers that clearly were faster, they finished 2 seconds ahead of everyone else, and it looked like they were pretty much cruising round the front of the grid. The Varga Sim Racing team, they've obviously set fantastic qualification times as well, so they have the pace here. We'll see whether they can bring it back. Here they are in the warm-up right now, though, just getting themselves accustomed to the 45-minute fuel that they've now stuck in there for the extra laps.
And that's really one of the biggest differences between the two races as well. For 45 minutes, you have to have a lot of fuel, on these cars, well over 100 litres for most of these cars. It's a lot of weight, it's a lot of difference. The car will be acting a little bit, and also the server resets as well, so you lose the rubber on the road. So there's a lot of differences that come into these feature races compared to the sprint. There's a lot more difference. So hopefully the drivers by now would already be practicing in the weeks prior to try out these different grips and these different fuel levels, because it really is a big change, and that I think is something that the drivers will be focusing on. Because if you are, it's all good if you're quick in the sprint race, but then as we mentioned, there's more points for the feature race, so you really need to be getting those points, really need to be getting those positions in this race coming up.
Chinchik just getting used to it at the moment. It's great to see from this cam just exactly, how much they're flooring it, where gears they're going through, like, are they flat, are they half speed, like, are they just feathering it? You can see he's feathering it a little bit there. Chinchik just trying to get a hold of it, and then a little bit of half speed, dab of the brakes, and then straight back on it as they get into the Orman. It's great to see, especially for drivers out there that are maybe, just wondering exactly how they can get these race times, really, which obviously is something that everybody wants. Certainly if you're an avid sim racer out there and looking to see just how these guys can do it. And you can see just a tiny bit in the accelerator there just to keep the wheels in check as he goes around Sunset. Fantastic to watch how these guys do it. Obviously anyone that's looking to set themselves some top times, watch the lines, watch the acceleration, watch the braking points, watch everything. Just keep your beady eyes on it. It's brilliant to watch.
Yeah, absolutely is. And also the Sebring track is just, it's always right there. It goes into the wall. I was going to say, it's so amazing because it's one of those tracks that in certain corners you have to go really aggressive and really push the limits, but it will bite you. It's an old school circuit. You have all this gravel on the outside of turn number 1. You have that big wall, as we just saw with Dryce on the exit of the final corner as well. So it makes you push, but you will be punished, and that's what's good. Some of these more modern circuits, you have all this, runoff and safety, which is good for, there's reasons why it has been introduced. But when you come to these old school circuits and you see drivers actually being punished for mistakes, it is really entertaining to watch.
Remco Major certainly performing well. He was the highest person that got promoted, the highest point scorer. Certainly in with a shout if he can continue to improve and maybe get himself into the promotion relegations for GT Pro. What a turnaround that would be for a driver coming through from GT Challenge Series 2. Absolutely fantastic story for him. Not the only one, of course. Did have Martinez coming up with him, who was putting in some great performances last week at the Nürburgring. But here's Yuri Toman. He's going to be starting out in 10th position as the sprint race winner. And I believe, I would have to double check, I think that's maybe his first sprint race. I think we had Chinchik for 2. I can't remember if it was Toman on the first race or not. I can't. Well, look at that. Thank you, Prezi Martono on the first race in the Bentley. That's what I was thinking. I'm sure Diogo Silva used to be in the Bentley as well. But he was the winner in the main race. There we go. I knew he won one somewhere. So that was his first sprint race win. So let's see if he can turn it around and get the back-to-back and join the a very limited list of people that have done it, which is, I believe, just so far Michi Hoya, Daniel Yolskin, and I've been told Kevin Siggy's done it as well.
Yeah, it's we've been doing this for obviously the third season now, so there's been quite a few opportunities for drivers to do it, but it is so difficult with it being that top 10 reverse. You've got to come past 9 different cars in that feature race. So even though you may be the faster driver because you probably got pole position or at least on the front row, and then you've obviously gone on to win the race, it is so difficult to come past 9 drivers even in 45 minutes without sort of pit stops and strategy. It is so difficult. You've got to rely on these cars ahead to be making mistakes. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone can do it, but it's just going to be so difficult. However, Toman and Chinchik are certainly 2 of the faster drivers, so I wouldn't doubt them at least trying to attempt it here in the next few minutes.
Martin Dillon just steering very clear of the tyre wall there at the end of the warm-up. So here we go into what will be the 45-minute main race. Everybody fueled up, ready, warmed up, got themselves just about everything they need. Ran to the toilet and back, I hope, making sure they're settled for this 45-minute epic of concentration absolutely required all the way. As I have a ginger cat passing me by. Good job the camera's not on right now. Thank you. Get out of the way, cat. There we go. So let's have a look at the starting order for the main race. It is going to be a reverse grid, which means Adianza and Martono will be starting out for the GMX Phantom on first and second. Daniel Kish in third. Martin Dillon in fourth place. Holds on to that despite the punt. Cito Vaya in fifth place. David Rocek in sixth. Who is Felipe Capomarcian and Matt Richards in seventh and eighth. Making words up. Down in ninth and 10th is Marshall Chinchik and Yuri Toman, the Vargas Sim Racing team that topped out first and second in the main race. Now we return to normality. Kirsten and Stokowski in 11th and 12th. Donat Prodan, and De Krop in 14th. Kurjan, great race from him up in 15th position, and Philip Dries managing to rescue what was a punt from Diogo Silva in 16th. Guilherme Mas and Paul Augustin Lana in 18th position. Chris Shepard and David Junt. What a step up it was for them. Both drivers that didn't actually get themselves a time. That's because there was a lot of DNFs. Travanka and Planiol, I believe, were both collected in the early tussle on the first corner. Thomas Vac later on, and Fernandez also involved. Jakovic and Christian Mikel both wiped out on corner one. They're going to want a better race, no doubt, this time around. Diogo Silva punting Philip Dries later on in the race. Remco Major blowing his engine and DNFing. Nico Barkley sent pirouetting across the pack, and, well, seeing these life flash in front of his eyes. Mario Marquez from DX Droids at the back of the pack. Cameron, it is going to be a mega performance for one of the Vargas Sim Racing if they can pull it off, but it's all about that start. Let's see how they work it out. Where will they back the pack up to, and who will hit the medal first?
It's going to be certainly a very exciting race indeed. These drivers have been giving us some very aggressive, entertaining racing so far, and we're just going to get going for another 45 minutes of it, which is really good to see. And these drivers are going to be trying to keep it a little bit cleaner, we hope, than the mess we got at the start of the sprint race. But as we know, with the feature race, with this reverse grid as well, you're effectively putting slower guys at the front, so that can always cause a little bit of carnage, as well. Maybe some of the guys aren't so used to being towards the front. We'll have to find out how that goes, but it is quite cool seeing these two teammates on the front row there.
You love to see it, don't you? It always looks nice. The big Bentleys locking out huge huge rear wings, huge rear spoilers, a huge everything on that Bentley. It is just a massive car. But there you go, all 30 cars moving down the Allman Straight, and one final time on the parade lap as they come into the sunset and get themselves ready to start things off. When will Adriansi get things off? Little Martono, just a little wiggle there to keep those tyre temperatures as topped off as he can, as they now set themselves up. Keep your eyes on Adriansi when he's going to floor it. Will Martono be able to judge it and keep past, just like we saw Yuri Toman doing as they head up onto the start-finish straight? Looking towards Martono. Looks like they're off already, and it's a great start from Adriansi. Daniel Kish read it well, though. He was right up behind him there as Martin Dillon is in and alongside as they go into the first corner. Stepkowski already with a penalty. How the heck did you get that in the first lap? Obviously, just out of position straight away. Adriansi, Martin Dillon, wow, what a move he's trying to put in there. He's got past Kish. Rojek also up there alongside Kish as well, but finally gets nuzzled out by the Bentley on Bentley action from Martono, getting himself involved, but getting the elbows out, if you were. And Rojek, though, has done a fantastic start, got himself up into 5th position, just alongside, trying to get past Kish, but not allowed.
Yes, Stokowski, as you mentioned, getting that penalty there, so he must have done a jump start and got automatically by the game. So I have to see if that comes for anyone else later on. Mojek trying to make it an all Bentley top 4, but Kish doing really well to hold on. Actually, Matt Richards there getting past Mojek as well. So Mojek actually unfortunately losing that position, but it seems he's actually got it back on the drag race now, down into sector 2, and it looks like he's going to be down there on the inside, but it's going to be a bit difficult for him to hold on there, though he's actually managed to do it on the brakes. Bit of contact though, so Matt Richards was still still there. But Rocek just pushing him out and managing to keep that 5th place. So he's still in a shout getting towards this podium. But Kish made sure he kept onto that 3rd position. And there's now a little bit of a gap between those drivers.
Further down the field, it's been a disastrous start for Verga Sim Racing. Chinchik losing a position. You can see down to 10th. Kirsten working his way up into 8th position. Fantastic stuff from him. Remco Major battling, it looks like here, with, I think it's Shepard, isn't it, that he's just managed to squeeze past there. But look at Yuri Toma down in 13th position. He's had a nightmare start, back on the other end of exactly how it felt for everybody else further down the field in the sprint race. It did look like we had a clean first corner, though, which was great to see. Now you can see this is David Rocek going very wide. Look at this, trying to send it up the inside. Matt Richards having a look, not able to carry the speed, obviously, so he's trying to cut it as close as he can. And in the end...
big spin in the background. Well, one of the Audis has gone for a spin in the background. That was Matthew De Croo looking at it. Oh, he's been hit by another car as well. That's a really unfortunate situation for them. They probably had absolutely no time. Couldn't see who it was, unfortunately. But yeah, massive accident there twice. 2 big contacts in that final corner.
Try and have a look exactly who it was as they go side by side into the second corner. Chinchik right on the back of Kapamajian. He's took some damage, you can see on the right-hand side of the car there, the Audi. So a little bit of contact with him somewhere in there. Doesn't look like it's come from Chinchik, but it might well do if he goes any closer. It does look like actually there's a tiny little bit of damage there. So it does look like Chinchik has caught him, and he's caught him again. So straight into the back of Kapamajian, almost sends him off on the corner, just desperately trying to get past.
Yeah, this is a little bit too aggressive from Chinchik, but he knows this is the best time in the race to make these positions as the cars are so close together. But he's actually put a little bit more damage on that left rear now of Kapamajian. So Kapamajian's probably got a tiny bit of diffuser damage, which won't be helping his downforce by any means. But Chinchik hasn't made any positions so far, really. But his teammate Toman, as you already mentioned, has dropped down. But let's see a replay.
So this is the start. This is Rocek at the start there, trying desperately to get around. You can see Derlin almost making it work out there alongside Presley Martono, but not quite Apple. And then all you see in the back end is Zansho everywhere. So in the end, it looks like, yeah, Derlin got muscled out, which meant Rocek tapped the back end, and then you just see, look at the Zansho McLaren squeezing through. I think was that Matt Richards, was that Cito Vaya that's just working his elbows in there. It was actually Daniel Kish who guess 1 to 3 and get them both wrong.
Darland is certainly not giving up on getting into this top 2, though. As we mentioned, obviously with that reverse grid, it is going to be slightly easier for these guys a little bit further behind to get there, because you would assume that the pace is a little bit reversed. But there, Ardianza, I should say, getting a new best lap time, so certainly not slow. But Martono isn't catching just yet.
It was Nico Barkley that was collected at the start in that over the start-finish line again. He was already sent spinning in the sprint race. What a disaster it's been at Sebring for him. I don't know whether it's his fault or not, whether he was the car that was simply collected. It looked like Jakovic. Oh, no, it wasn't Jakovic. Sorry, that was the other driver involved there. I did just see somebody else also plummeting down the ladder a moment ago, so I don't know whether there was another spin. I didn't see any yellows back there. Let's have a look at the replay. This is Matthew Krupp further down. So he comes in, way too hot. That's Paul Augustlana just ahead of him. So he comes around the corner, still bumpy, and that's the sim racing of, I believe it's Yuri Toman. Oh, and he just collects the tyre wall, comes across. Does he get collected? Oh, yes, he does. Gets collected in the back there as he grabbed it. So I think, and that looks like Nico Barkley that had collected in there, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look like De Croo was sort of moving over the track, so maybe Barkley was just like next to someone, didn't really have anywhere to go. But you could see with De Croo that once he got off the line and he was way out wide, he just couldn't bring it back at all. Quite an interesting one. We're going to see a replay now from Nico Barkley.
So let's see. You can see what's going on ahead of him. I think that's Remco just further ahead. Lana going wide there. Comes out. Just caught a glimpse of something. Oh, no chance. Nothing he could do about that. The Audi's just part the seas, and he's just thinking, oh my days. Nothing Nico could do. I feel for him, because it wasn't his fault earlier on in the sprint race either, so it's been a disaster for him.
And to be honest, with Juanaco in general, they've just had so much bad luck over the last few months. I do feel really bad for them. They're such a good team, such a good group of guys, but unfortunately, the results just aren't coming their way. But the results might be coming the way of Darren Mrocek, because he's caught back up to Daniel Kish and he's now well in this fight. But Matt Richards just behind him, setting the fastest lap of the race as well. So there's going to be plenty of action as Stepkowski now comes down the inside of Philip Dreiss.
Sneaks around the outside. I tell you what, Yuri Toman's got himself back up into 11th position as well. But look at Diogo Silva going. He's a man on a mission, coming in a little hot there, but gets on the brakes just about in time. Stepkowski, and that's Philip Dreiss missing out. He may make a second position up here as well, as he manages to get himself past Stepkowski. Will be on the outside as they get into the hairpin. But at the moment, as they squeeze around the big bend, should be able to keep himself down there. Who was that coming up behind? I think it was... Who's just behind me? Is that Lana? No, it's not Lana, is it?
It's Prodan in the Volante McLaren. He's trying to get involved as well. So now he's got Silva, has got Prodan all over the back of him, but also Philip Dreiss is in there as well. So we've got an epic battle with Remco Major as well. So all these drivers trying to go about 3 wide. This is going to be a little bit awkward now, as Prodan's going to push out Philip Dreiss, trying to keep that position in 15th place there, which he manages to be able to do just about. But now Major's trying to go around the outside of Dreiss, getting down the inside, but he can't quite get to the Bentley down there. So these guys are certainly going very hectic, as they know these positions are so important.
Let's have a look at Donut Prodan. This is further down the field. Oh, he got a clunk. I was going to say, I was thinking Prodan was running further afield. That's why. That's Yuri Toman, I think.
Yeah, that was a Vargas sim racing car. That might not be good if that is Yuri Toman, because he's already maybe potentially looking at getting a penalty from the first race from a jump start. And if that was his fault, which we didn't quite see from that angle, then that could be a little bit awkward for him later on as well.
You can see Dreiss just unable to turn in. That puts him out of position, and Diogo Silva absolutely benefiting from this. Look at that. Hard on the brakes. Stokowski just didn't see it coming at all. And that was an absolute steal from Diogo Silva. Fantastic driving.
Yeah, that was an awesome piece of driving, I should say, from Silva, as Yuri Toman now sets the fastest lap of the race. So even if he did have that bit of contact with Prodan, he hasn't got too much damage, as Darlan now looking down the inside, but not quite close enough. And these guys are really starting to close up in this top 7, as Cedar Vire joins the party as well in the third Zansho. 3 Zanshos in the top 7. So they're certainly doing a good job at the moment. But none of these drivers can really find a way past their rival just yet. But I'm sure that is going to come, as these guys are just getting so close to each other. Someone is going to get caught out very soon.
Yeah, credit to Kurtzen as well in 8th place. A driver we haven't seen too much of, but certainly holding his own with Luis Felipe Capmajin behind him, and Chinchik as well. So going to have a bit of a train there, but you can see from Rocek's perspective just how it is to be sandwiched between the Zanshos of the McLarens, desperately trying to get past at the moment. Certainly seems to have the pace, no doubt about it. And at the moment, unlike we saw in the sprint race when the 2 Vargas Sim Racing team absolutely left everyone behind, at the moment Adrianti is struggling to keep these guys behind him at the moment. Martono's putting pressure on Durlan's certainly within pace of them, and any small mistake looks like it may well cost them a place.
Yeah, you can't be making mistakes with these guys, especially in this split one of GT Challenge. All these guys are good, especially in this top 10, top 15, all top drivers. And I say, if you make one mistake, you will get overtaken. That's on board with Matt Richards trying to get on the back of Mrocek, but Mrocek has obviously got a slipstream from Kish as well, as we come towards the Sunset Bend for another time. And this seems to be one of the best overtaking opportunities, actually, because this braking zone seems to be really changing all the different lines, as now Richards gets down the inside of Mrocek. Can he hold it on the exit? No, he can't quite, but he's certainly sent on the brakes there. And the type of corner really allows you to do all these different things, and it's certainly being one of the best opportunities on the track.
Is he going to try and make the move? No, doesn't go for it into turn 1, and certainly trying to see whether he can make Rocek go defensive, but he just sticks to his guns, sticks to his line, continue his chase. Brief yellows in sector 3 there, but has cleared pretty quickly, so doesn't look like it was anything too serious further down the field. Marshal Chinchik has passed Luis Felipe Capamajin. That's up into 9th position now, as he's now starting to chase down onto Kurtzen, see whether he can catch up there. So getting it done, obviously Capamajin finishing out well in the sprint race. So the Zansho is still trying to continue to chase, but Martono is keeping check at the moment. Adriansi keeping that 0.6 gap, sixth of a second gap between him and his teammate.
As long as he's not really making too many mistakes up front, it looks like he has the pace to be holding on to this actually, which is really good for him. As we now jump to Mass, trying to get on the back of Dries here into the second sector, but he's not quite late enough on the brakes. And Philip Dries a little bit lower down actually than what you would expect, but obviously that didn't help his starting position with the crash that he had in the penultimate lap of the sprint race, and now he's going to try and make up for that once again. But Mas, the French driver, now getting the slipstream, but I think he's going to have to try something crazy on the brakes if he wants to make it into this corner.
Not too crazy, I hope. We've seen some send-it maneuvers, and I'd rather not see too many more. I'm all for overtakes, but as clean as you like, please. Now, Martin Dillon getting a little bit closer to Martono now, just a second from the leader, so close the gap as they went down the Allman into Sunset. So definitely working things. Speaking of, Rocek on the back of Daniel Kish, trying desperately to keep things going. Shook a little bit of a gap there between himself and Matt Richards as well. Yuri Toman also passed Luis Felipe Capamagin, so both Varga Sim Racing drivers now up into 9th and 10th where they started. Let's see if they can improve that time.
It's a bit interesting that those three drivers, they were the three fastest in qualifying and the sprint race, but they haven't been able to make any moves. In fact, Kurtzen, as we mentioned, had already got past them. Here's Christian Michel. He was already one lap down in the sprint race, and he's now going to have a DNF in the feature race as well. So there's going to be, unfortunately, not many points for him to be scored today.
Oh dear, not good for him. A driver that certainly qualified very well in that top 10, was collected in that first incident on the first corner. So just like Nico Barkley, another DNF for him, unfortunately. Derlin, wow, he's right on the back now, definitely catching onto Adriansi. These Bentleys, looks like Martin wants to get a move on because, well, you can see Kish is right up behind him, Rocek right up behind him, so it does seem that these front two, Martono and Adriansi, are starting to back the pack up at the moment, and it could get explosive. We've still got 30 minutes to go in this race, so plenty of time to try and make a move.
This train is unbelievable. Look how close all these drivers are. Just in one massive train, all the way really down to Capamagin in 11 places. All there, Matt Richards getting a little bit close to Mocek. And this is the issue that you're going to have. Mocek's going to maybe not be braking so on the limit because he knows he's got Kish right in front of him, but then Richards is going to be sending it in, and before you know there's going to be some contact and some cars going all over the place. So they've got to be so careful not to make any issues here for the other drivers.
Derlin's got to surely go for it. You can see he's 0.1 behind Adriansi. Is he going to try and go for it in Sunset? Tries to take a different line, maybe get the undercut round. Tries to go for it, but really doesn't have enough drive to go with it. Gets very close to the wall, as did, I believe, Daniel Kish behind him. You saw Rocek was also looking up the inside now into turn one. Is he going to try and get his nose in there? Martin Dillon certainly is. Looks like he's going to try and send it through on the first corner, catching a little bit napping there. Adriansi was also lost the position lead to Martono. Martono going backwards, and suddenly Dillon sees that lead in his sights. Oh, Kish gets a little tap onto Adriansi. That sends him wide, and it's getting a little bit nasty further down the field. We were expecting this to happen, and you can see Matt Richards also looking to try and get past along with Rocek. He's managed to keep past Rocek, so that's worked out well for the Zansho team, but he couldn't get past the man in orange.
And now this could be the cork in the bottle being released, because all these drivers, look at them now, they're too wide in formation, really. There's about 6 cars there all going through the same corner at the same time. Now the other Zansho driver of Via is getting past Mocek as well. He's lost a couple of positions, not really by anything he's done wrong, just the fact there's so many cars all over the place.
Adriansi off the circuit there, does manage to rejoin just in time, but he looks like he's lost that position. I think absolutely mentally checked out. The second he lost that lead, it does seem that he's having a bit of a mental problem right now. It can be a simple concentration issue once you lose that. And look at this, it's the Varga Sim Racing team trying to squeeze up there as well. Chinchik up into 7th place. All this train has worked so well for the Sim Racing team that they've managed to get back in there. Varga absolutely on it right now. Yuri Toman tucked in behind Sido Via and Kirsten, both looking to try and make a move. Meanwhile, Martin Dillon absolutely chasing down Martono, and the Zansho team of Kish and Richards have absolutely benefited from this.
It's because they know this is the best point in the race. The cars are so close together. You can easily make a couple of positions, and Chinchik has done that absolutely. He was down in 10th, 11th place at one point, and now he's up there into 7th place. We'll now see Kurtzen trying to go around the outside of Vi. That's going to be a bit of an awkward move, and that's going to be able to have Toman come down the inside of that final corner. A bit of contact though, and that's going to give the opportunity to another Audi coming down the inside of them. That's Kappa Madchan now trying to get back involved. We counted him out a little bit. Now Kurtzen is outside of the top 10, and these guys are all changing once again. He's got a Bentley getting involved as well.
Who's that diving up the inside? Oh my word, absolutely lick it and send it. Kurtzen goes through, Kapamajin goes through, and that is very risky business right there. Looking at it from Kurzen's point of view, Yuri Toman loses out on 2 positions in one corner. He is going to be absolutely furious with that, there's no doubt about it, but he put himself in that position, getting a little too close at the moment to Kapamajin there. I think it was Cito Via that was trying to get past there. This is Cito Via here, and this is watching, I think that's Kish just ahead of him, and Richards with Adrianzo. Adrianzo just looking to try and get as much track as he can. Oh, just a little tap across the front of him.
Oh, and then they're going 3 wide into the braking zone. Rocek sending it around the outside, both of them. Then that's Chinchik coming down the inside of him as well. It's all sorts of chaos. You could easily lose or even gain 3 or 4 positions just at one point there. Now that's Toman through as well.
Chinchik's gone back to 8th position. Kurtzen and Kapamajin have got past him. I don't know what's happened, but the Vargas Sim Racing team are back down in 8th and 9th. Obviously, we're up there. We've also lost a runner. I think Adrianzo has gone. Yes, he's down in 15th position, so something has happened within there that's obviously forced Adrianzo off, whether it was a connection, because I think it was Chinchik that was up behind him. And now I'm looking at Kurjan. You can see Rocek also in 10th position, so Rocek has fell way back as well. So something's definitely happened while we were within that replay. Poor old Ruben's furiously looking back. And here we go. Let's have a look at the action, Cameron.
And Chinchik here, so he's behind Rocek at this point. So I wonder if this is going to be a massive send now down into turn number 7. Rocek's defending it, but Chinchik's going to just have a look, get his car whipped down the inside. But that's going to have a, that is Ardianza there. That's 3 wide. Very difficult there because Chinchik wouldn't be able to see that coming, but Rocek was pushing him right to the limit, and unfortunately, Ardianza is just going to be collected there by both of them. He's not really going to be happy about that at all. It's now Kurjan getting down the inside, Devin Rocek. He probably has a bit of damage as well. Now on the outside of turn number 1, he's going to be able to defend that, but it certainly looks like he's a bit slower. And Kurjan, is he going to be able to get down the inside of turn 3? No, he's not. But Rocek needs to sort of regroup here a little bit because he's lost a total of 5 places.
Oof, that's all I can say about that. A little feisty, I think it's safe to say, and I don't think really anyone's coming out happy about that one. Let's have a look what we got here. Okay, this is from Adrianzo's point of view. I did mention that maybe Focus had cut. Yeah, I mean, he was looking at, I guess he was looking at Rocek behind him and had no clue that the other driver was there.
It's getting very aggressive. Hopefully they just calm down a little bit now. The gaps are spread out just a tiny bit. There was probably only about 5 seconds between those top 10 cars at one point earlier on. So fortunately they've spread out just a little bit. But that is not going to be good for the likes of Rocek because he's now way off the position that he was. You can see in the intervals, Cito Via there in 5th place. He's over 2 seconds behind his teammate Matt Richards as well. So they're really starting to spread out just a little bit. So hopefully he's going to calm down just a bit because that was almost too aggressive. Obviously, the way the format is and everything, you do have to be very aggressive and use every opportunity that you can do. But we don't want to see cars bumping into each other and pushing each other off the road. That is going a little bit too fast. So hopefully they can keep it a bit cleaner in the final 25 minutes.
This is Kurtzen's point of view. So that's a little nudge up the inside. I believe that is when Shinchik was there, was it? Or Toman? I can't remember which one of the two. I think it was, yeah, and that's Kapamajin also on the right-hand side. So Kurtzen just trying to hold the drag through, and then he just absolutely sends it.
Wow, that was a huge dive bomb into a very short break, and he managed to get both of them as well. So that was overly aggressive and managing to make the position, but there was certainly contact involved there. Kapamajin wouldn't have been able to see that was 3 wide. But we go back to the front and we see Darlan now coming on to the back of Martono, and he's only half a second behind. He's got a good 1 second behind Takish as well, so this is just a 2-way battle, and he's already got past one of the JMX Phantom cars. He's now got to do the other, but Martono's certainly holding on for now.
It's replay central here. Martin Durland already had a go by the looks of it onto Martono. Absolutely. I was just looking at the times and thinking how close they were. So you can see definitely trying to get himself in as close as we can. 0.3 really gained some ground. So well, last time I looked at that, it was a second. So Martono's either made an error or Durland is absolutely hot on it right now.
I think it's a little bit of both. Durland is certainly a very fast driver, and I think he's going to be looking to make that overtake. He's got over 20 minutes to find his best opportunity to do so. As we jump back to Yuri Toman in this battle behind his teammate of Chinchik. But Kapamachan's got past both of these guys and now is looking at the back of Kurtzen as well. So the Varga Sim Racing boys won't be too happy to lose those couple of positions there, as Kurtzen started behind these guys as well. So they do have some time to try and get back, but it's actually going to be a little bit more difficult now because Kapamachan has got in front of them.
Yeah, a driver that they'd both overtaken and just retook his position and got himself back in there. But here we see them going down the Allman. Let's see whether there's a pressure. Oh, that's a very wide Diogo Silva there, I think it was, that was hitting the grass further down the field, or it might have been Adriansi. It looks like, oh, Martono, Durland going for it there, just getting a little clatter from Martono. Meanwhile, Chinchik was trying to send it onto Kapamachan up the inside. Doesn't work out for him, but definite contact between Martono and Durland there.
Yeah, I think Durland trying to go for the outside line in the final corner, but we come back to Chinchik. Is he going to be able to jump down the inside into turn number one? He's not going to be quite close enough to Kapamachan, who's holding on to that one, but Toman now is trying to get involved, trying to get on the back of his teammates, and I think these guys are going to start bunching each other up, as we saw a few minutes ago in that top pack.
Chinchik desperately trying to get past, but Toman, I mean, we should point out, Cameron, we've just hit the halfway stage. There's still plenty of time to go in this race. So this is Durland. Oh, that just looked like a bit of a brake check from Martono, if anything.
Interesting. So he actually went way deep on the inside, which then pushed him far too far to the outside. So it's a bit of a switchback maneuver there by Martono to keep the lead. So nice little battle there, actually, from those two drivers, giving us some good entertainment out the front. I think Durland is certainly the quicker driver of these two, but he's just got to find a way past, and that is the difficult part to answer.
Well, he's certainly looking to do it. You can see he's all over that rear wing, tucking himself in, and if you can get a toe off any car, it will be Bentley on Bentley. That's where the toe action's going to come from, no doubt about it, as he tries to stick as close as he can before they reach that Ullman and into Sunset. That's where he's looking to try and make the move. That's where it almost worked out for him, and now he's got himself a great drag going in towards the Ullman. You can see Martono trying to shake him a little bit loose there. Doesn't go too wild with the shake though, but it does look like Durland's got enough to try and pull him in. Now you can see the toe advantage starting to kick in. Is it going to be enough? Looking to get up that inside. Just a little love tap onto Martono. Doesn't send him squirrely too much, and Durland realizes chance is lost.
He needs to be careful there, because remember in the sprint race, Durland hit a car in that corner, pushing them off. So really needs to be careful not to do that, because he does want to get another penalty, as he is potentially going to get from that one as well. Getting penalties is going to be very costly, especially if it's something like a 30-second penalty, which is generally the standard. 30 seconds, even over a 45-minute race, is not going to be your best decision. There's going to be a lot of cars inside that 30 seconds, especially when you're at the front of the field. So he needs to try and keep it clean, but he needs to get a slight better run onto the Ormond straight if he wants to dive down the inside there.
I mean, I'm looking at the time separating most of these cars, and it's all 0 point something. So yeah, 30 seconds is going to send you down, certainly outside the top 15, almost certainly. That was some late braking there, and that actually caused them to back up a little bit. You can see Daniel Kish is right on the back of Durland now because of that braking coming out from Martono, forcing Durland to swing a little wide in the hairpin. So that's give Daniel Kish a real chance in the Zansho to try and get back involved in this race for the first place with just 20 minutes remaining.
So over halfway through the race indeed, and we've got the Zanchos, three of them up into the top 5, and if they play this well, they might be able to get themselves a triple Zansho podium, although Via's just a little bit further off the back, but certainly Kish and Richards are going to be potentially getting a double Zansho podium. This battle between Durland and Martono is getting to that point where Durland's trying it in these awkward places, and that is always going to be an opportunity. So one of the main reasons for these Zansho boys to keep going is just to get themselves in a position if there's a crash ahead.
Meanwhile, further down the field, Kurjan has kept himself in the 11th position with Diogo Silva. Diogo Silva, by the way, has gained, I think, about 14 positions overall. If you remember, he was a DNF at the end of the sprint race, so he's absolutely got himself up that. Maybe, yes, there's been, 4 DNFs, but still managed to get past the rest there. Meanwhile, the Vargas Sim Racing team still stuck behind Luis Felipe Capamagin. He's hanging on in the HM Engineering here, just keeping things going. That poor Audi looks like it's been battered front and back.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of contact in this race, which is not really what we want to see, but it's certainly part of the factors. Shinji coming in very deep there into the corner, so he certainly got good brakes, but if he was a little bit closer, he might be able to look for a dive actually, but he's been sat here for a couple of laps now, so he should know where there's going to be some differences in his braking, as we see now Vac trying to defend from Prodan around the outside. This is going to be for P23-24, so quite way down, but these guys certainly still fighting, and Vac looks like he's having a couple of issues there through turn number 1. Now into the kink of turn 2, got a break, now very hard into turn 3. Prodan all the way around the outside, but he's gone too deep, and that's going to be the opportunity gone.
Both of these drivers DNFs in the sprint race. If you remember, Vac was the one that got collected and clattered off the circuit. Nothing he could do about it. And Prodan also in a similar situation where he got clattered. Martin Durlan still chasing hard along with the Zansho team all in there. But at the moment, it is Kirsten that's seemingly keeping a bit of a train up behind him here. Here's Yuri Toman's point of view along with Masao Shinchik ahead. You can see Capamagin. I'm to get a little late on the brakes there. Toman really going in too hot in the corner.
Yeah, he's at that awkward point as well where he's trying to brake normally, but then the cars are all getting caught up in front of them as well, so he needs to be very careful. But this top battle train is getting very close once again. Darlin now getting the slipstream. Can he get down the inside? He's going to be just close enough, but is it close enough to look for a dive? No, he's actually going to back out of it just a little bit and try and get the run down into turn number 1, but it's so difficult to judge this final corner with all the bumps.
He's got to defend as well because he's got Daniel Kish right up behind him. He realizes he can't just try and send one of those crazy maneuvers in there. Look up Capamagin. Kurtzen is absolutely creating a train behind him right now. Capamagin still doesn't seem to have it in him. Don't know how much damage, but it looks like it's going to be Shinchik just having a little peek into turn 1 there. Doesn't quite work out for him. That front definitely caved in. Oh, hello. Zansho on Zansho. Matt Richards says, you know what? I can't get it working here. Daniel Kish just tries to get alongside him and having a little look, and has brought Cito Vire into these things.
Yeah, these Zansho boys, doesn't look like there's too many team orders. There's going to be some fighting between them, and that's always good to see. And as I mentioned earlier, if they play this right, I think they can get a triple podium, but sort of uneasing your teammate there isn't really going to be helping that, but they certainly want to get the points themselves.
Poor old Adriansi, from pole down to 17th. It's unfortunately been one of those races for him where it just started to all unravel within one race around 15 minutes into this. Still, we have another 15 remaining though, and at the moment they're just desperate to get Pat Kurtz, and they've all slipped away from certainly 5th position. It looks like that's going to be unattainable for anyone that can get in there, because there is a 4-second gap now created between Cito Vire and Kurtzen. And at the moment, Capamagin still not able to make it work, but they are just holding up Vargas Sim Racing. You can see they want to get past. We know they've got the pace because they proved it in the qualifying. They were the first and second drivers in both qualifying and in the sprint race. But at the moment, they've all been held up time and time again. But you can see going down the Ullman once again, having a look. Meanwhile, back forward, this is Martin Durlan's point of view. Still seeing Daniel Kish and Matt Richards. Matt Richards absolutely dive bombing it through the inside there. I feel he's managed to make it work. That was a great maneuver from Richards.
Certainly was. Kish making a tiny bit of a mistake there, and as you mentioned, anytime you make a mistake, there's going to be potentially an overtake, and Darlan actually is potentially going to be going for the lead there in the first sector. Around the outside of turn number 1 is not where you want to do. It's always been pushed off. That's going to get an opportunity for Matt Richards to get the lead here, and even maybe in one of the other Zansho cars. So Richards there taking the lead. Darlan now on the inside of turn 3. That's going to be the outside for turn 4. Martono's all over the grass, and I think he's going to have now Kish down the inside. A bit more contact for these guys, and now Vire's going to get past as he goes off once again.
Whoa, wow. A feisty first couple of corners there. Matt Richards benefits from it. He's so happy because he just took third position through the sunset bend, and Daniel Kish is looking at that thinking, I should be in first right now. I'm staring at Martin Durland, but as you mentioned, it is possible for a full lockout on the podium right now. Martin Durland is the man that they have to get past. They've got 14 minutes to do that. Now, we talked about this in previous races. Will the Bentley start to fall off towards the end there? Will the tyres start to slip away? Well, I have to look at this. This is the replay going into turn 1. Durland around the outside. Martino just swinging a little wide. Durland trying desperately not to go on the grass. And as soon as these guys connect, because everybody is in such close proximity, it's almost certainly going to cause chaos.
Yeah, Durland sending a huge dive bomb there down into turn number 3, and that's obviously is part of the reason for that. So I wonder if the stewards are going to be looking at that sort of stuff, because that was so overly aggressive. And Martona going from first down into 5th place, and Kish will be ruining that mistake into sunset on the previous lap, because that's given Matt Richards the potential for an easy victory. If he's quicker here, he might be able to just pull away a little bit, as now Kish needs to do it all over again, getting past Martin Durland.
And Cameron, we were talking about that 4-second gap between what was Cito Vaya and Kurtz, and that has now completely gone because of the chaos that happened there. It's brought this race of 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th all within it, and they are all on the back of Martono now. You can see just a second between them, but the now race leader, Matt Richards, the first lap starting in the lead, is looking golden at the front in the Zansho. It's Martin Durland that is the man under pressure now, as Daniel Kish and Cito Vaya absolutely look to try and make this a triple crown on the front line. That would be a perfect podium for Zansho if they can make this work.
Yeah, unfortunately Aiden isn't here commentating, but he'll be very happy if that is the case, being part of Zansho himself. So I'm sure he's watching along with the other Zansho boys. Very good and a big team in rFactor too, so it'd be good for them to get the podium. But they need to get Cito Vaya up there somehow. He needs to get ahead of Darland, so Darland needs to be overtaken twice for that to happen. And this gap to Richards is moving out just a little bit. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Richards who won the feature race last time out as well, wasn't it?
It was indeed. He won the race in Nürburgring, so could be back-to-back main races for Richards, which would be absolutely brilliant for his points. Actually may even put him on the top, to be honest, with Chinchik and Toman down in 8th and 9th right now, although they did have a fantastic sprint race performance. So we'll get to that as it comes, but it's certainly going to liven things up for the championship, and obviously see who can get into GT Pro, because it's looking great right now for Zansho as they try to lock this one down. Martin Durland certainly was the man on the attack, but now is definitely on defense, on the back foot. Meanwhile, further down the field, the Vargas Sim Racing guys are desperate to get past. You can see within 0.1 of Capamarjan there, so we may see them making a move, and that was another wide maneuver for Durland there, as well as this pack further back down.
Yeah, that pack in the background is really starting to heat up as well for the bottom parts of the top 10. Rochek's just got on the back of it as well. So that Kurtzen battle is really starting to hold up. And I think Kapamachan's actually just got past as well on the back straight. It looks like on the tower. He's got himself up. And Kurtzen just got past by Chinchik. There's all sorts of battling going on the lower parts of the top 10 as well.
Kurtzen looks like he's managed to hold it out, but they're having a drag race down, and that is going to be Chinchik going through. He's made it work out, and he's up into 6th position. Oh, Kurtzen, don't you send it. I can see what he did before. Yuri Toman looking to try and get involved. We're going to see a car on the grass, I feel, in a moment. You can see just a little nudge back onto Kapamancha, but it's Yuri Toman that will hold out. Meanwhile, look at this. Rochek getting back involved as well in 10th place. He wants to retake his positions. He was running in 4th earlier on.
And that's just crazy how the drivers could go up and down the grid so easily. And now Chinchik, from all the way down in 11th place at one point, has got himself up into 6th place. This is going to be very good for him in the championship, but Kurtzen's trying to come back at him now into turn number 7. Kapamachan's got a bit deep. That's going to give Toman an opportunity, but it's going to be a little bit difficult for him there. 10 minutes to go in the race, and the drivers are starting to get very frantic as they know the opportunities are running out.
Yeah, this is going to be feisty 10 minutes, I feel. There's almost certainly going to be more overtakes. I don't know exactly where it's going to be. I just pray to God that it's going to be clean, because some of these cars are looking like banger races right now. It is a replay. Let's have a look. This is when it all went wrong after turn 1, and you can see, actually, to be fair, that was great of Martono to actually grab the car there, because it looked like he could have spiraled out of control as Matt Richards goes through and takes the lead.
These guys are going just a little bit crazy as we expected here in Sebring. Now, Toman go for a massive dive there down the inside of Kapamachan. Is he going to be left the room? He is just about enough, but then Kapamachan's going to fight that one back through the next couple of corners and out onto the Ullman. That's going to potentially make him have a worse exit, so he's going to have to defend, and Toman is going to get the huge amount of slipstream now down into Sunset Bend.
Tell you what, even down to Diogo Silva's being brought into this. He's running in 12th right now. They're all getting very close. This train that's been building. Now, Yuri Toman has a little look on Kapamachan, but he closes the door, so unable to get the run out there. Meanwhile, Rocek is running it nice and wide and may have a good toe on towards the back of Yuri Toman, who's looking to try and increase this one. Meanwhile, Marcel Chinchik has gone. He has left them standing and is hot on the heels of Martono now, trying to hunt down 5th position.
I think he's going to be able to do it as well. 8.5 minutes left. There's plenty of time. And then if he's quick enough, maybe he can get back on Cedia Vire. We'll have to see. We certainly know that Chinchik's probably the quickest guy here today. As we jump back to David Rocek, still in this 10th place. He's going to be really disappointed how far he dropped down in those scuffles in the middle of the race. And he hasn't had the opportunity yet to get back past. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a little bit more aggressive driving and a few more changes of position in this pack. You can see just how close they are ahead.
Oh my word, so hard on the brakes there, getting so close to Yuri Toman's rear end as they all backed up on the hairpin there as they try and get back on the gas and keep the toe down as much as they can. Further up the field, you can see Kishan Via still very much keeping on the back end of Durlan. Meanwhile, Matt Richards has pulled himself almost a 2-second gap in the lead. Yellows in Sector 1. Something just dipping off there, but that's fine. Looks like it's been cleared. So it's just someone going a little wide in Turn 1. Meanwhile, look at this. Back in 2nd place. So look at the replay. This is going to be from Chinchik's point of view. So this all happened at sunset here. That's a little, so Kapamachan going around the outside. You can see it gets a little squirrely, and that was so well read by Chinchik. Got on the brakes, saw the undercut opportunity, and made it work perfectly.
That was such a nice move there. That's really well done, actually. Seeing the situation and reading it to absolute perfection. As we jump to Kish now. 7 minutes to go. Not too many laps left. There's probably going to be 4 laps left. Is he going to be able to do something? Although, once again, I think he's going to go a tiny bit wide there, but that could give him a little bit of a better exit. But via his teammates going to be all over the back of him as well, coming down towards turn number 1.
Keeping the pressure down. Oh, Chinchik's going to be side by side with Martono. I think just behind these, I'm seeing, I mean, it's within 0.8, so I think they may well be go. Oh, no! Durland off! Durland off! No. What just happened there? Did he get collected? He lost his rear bumper. Looks like he may have been contact in corner 1. I'm not too sure, but obviously that sent them scurrying further down the field, and that is the current lockout now that Zansho will looking towards. 1, 2, and 3. Can they keep the position, and what the hell happened back there? Meanwhile, let's just keep our eyes on this. We'll get a replay on that in just a second because it's very heated back here with just 6 minutes remaining. You can see this train backing up behind Martono right now. Chinchik trying to get past, but, well, any maneuver, any hard braking could cause chaos. Kapamachan, Yuri Toman trying to go through side by side with Kapamachan now in that Audi, just gets backed out once again, can't keep the power down. And look at this, all from Martono's rear wing. It is all hot behind him.
And one mistake, as we saw earlier, and you're just going to lose all these sort of 4 or 5 cars behind him. So he needs to be very careful. He doesn't do what his teammate Ardianza did earlier on in the race, but he's holding on for now. And we're going to get a replay to see how this is going to work. It looks like he's all on his own, actually. He must just make...
oh, no.
He corrected a little bit, but it didn't look like the car was sliding too bad. So I wonder if there may be another slight issue going on. Let's have a look. Now he just slid the rear and overcorrected it. So just pushing that tiny bit too much. That is how on the limit they are in that corner.
Disaster for Martin Durlan, who was having a fantastic race. Oh, Martono's been passed. Chinchik is through. Kurtzen's also alongside. Kapamachan looking to try and make it work as well. Kurtzen looks like he's got through in the drag race. You can see Kapamachan trying to stuck in behind his rear wing there. And oh, look at Yuri Toman just dive bombing it through there. Rocek looks like he wants to try and follow through as well. And this is disaster for Martono. He's going back. Kapamachan does get locked out, and Yuri Toman makes it work from, I think, 8th up to 6th place there. Kurtzen also through, but that puts Chinchik back into 4th place.
This is an amazing drive by Chinchik to get through Obviously, plenty of contact and issues going on, but still to get up to 4th place is very good indeed. Now, Mrochek's going to go for the dive here down the inside. He's going to be just blocked off a little bit, though, so there's going to be even more contact. And Kapamadjan now has dropped outside of the top 10 almost, with Silver trying to get back on the back of him as well. So these guys are starting to get so frantic again as they know there's only a couple of laps left in the race.
Diogo Silva up into 10th is actually a miracle. I think he's starting in 26th. 27th, something like that. So fantastic stuff from him. So let's see how this all began. Okay, this is going into the Ullman. So Cinchik just so on it right now and actually gets past before the Ullman straight. Wow, great move.
Yeah, once again, a little bit more contact, and that's how Kurtzen got up the inside as well. So Martono just getting bullied out of the way just a little bit there, and then you see Toman going for a little bit of a fly there, but he obviously went so down the inside of these guys, going a massive dive there. You see him on the inside. He's going to get past, and then Kapamadjan gets hit out wide, I think, with a bit of a domino move there. So that's how he got the double overtake for Yuri Toman.
Yeah, I didn't see whether that was Martono that collected him or what it was. Either way, Martono was sent further back. Kapamadjan now with Rocek. Rocek, by the way, went from 10th to 8th as well, so he benefited from that massively. And Kapamadjan, who was running in 6th place, is now down in 9th, so he's disappointed. But Diogo Silva, 10th place for him. I want to see how much he's improved. I've got a feeling he's gained about 16 or 17 places so far in this race. Obviously, we saw him in Disaster Corner, taking out, I think was it Christian Mikel? Who was it he took out? It may have been Mikel. No, it's Philip Dries, wasn't it? Philip Dries that he clattered into on the sprint race. But look at the leaders. 2 minutes to go. We're going to get another lap, maybe 2, I think, here, as Matt Richards comes around. But it is 1, 2, and 3 for Zansho, with a 5-second gap to the Varga Sim Racing Marshall Cinchik. This is looking absolutely golden.
Yeah, it's quite amazing how they've been able to do this. They obviously started quite a way down in the grand scheme of things, but they've been able to keep the car on the road. And unfortunately, the two JMX Phantom guys having some issues, and then obviously Darlan making the mistake, just giving them some easy positions as well. But they're the ones who kept it on the road. There's still going to be a couple of laps left in this race, including the one that they are on. But I think that Yuri Toman there getting up into 5th place almost with Andy Kurtzen. I think they're battling on the exits, looking on the leaderboard as well. So Toman trying to get himself up into the top 5. That'll be good for his championship as well. So these Varga boys doing good as well. So Zansho and Varga really almost using their team tactics as well, because they're able to have so many more cars in there getting involved with the battles.
Let's have a look at the replay. This is Diogo Silva further down on the back of Kapamadjan, looking into turn 1, maybe trying to make it work. Kapamadjan, just a connection. Oh no! Silva collects it well though. A little bit of slide, but it does force him down 2 places.
Unfortunately, though, just a bit of unnecessary contact once again. Not the first time that we've seen that, unfortunately, but that is what happens when these guys are just pushing to the absolute limit. He's now dropped down to 12th place. Kapamadjan still inside the top 10. He would be a bit disappointed considering he started ahead of Cinchik, who is now up into P4, as we go to Mrochek, who's going to try and do something with Martono, get himself up into the top 7, do a little bit of a flash, and there's once again going to be a bit of a dive down inside of Sunset Bend.
I've got to make sure he doesn't collect it
too
much.
That
car at the back there, that is going to be 4th place. Kurtzen has gone because Toman is now up into 5th. So that was Kurtzen that was running back in there in 5th place. So off he goes. Oh, hello. We're getting lively into turn 1 here. Presley Martono and Rocek side by side, but now Rocek's under pressure. Kurzen looking to get inside. Kapamadjan watching these Bentleys battle it out. Is it going to be left and right? Which year will come out on top at the moment? Will it be the 2019? Or I think it's the 17, isn't it, the other one?
Yeah, it's 2017 for Mrochek. So he's actually in the older style Bentley, which is quite an interesting option. Let's get a replay to see what happened with Kurtzen. This is Toman on the back of him, coming down towards Sunset Bend. 0 minutes remaining, so we're on to the final lap as well. Oh, Toman just goes in there a bit too deep and collects the rear of Kurtzen. You saw Toman on the brakes, wiggling about all over the place. He obviously realised he was coming in a bit too deep, and I wouldn't be surprised if he may end up getting a penalty for that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we could point to a maneuver that Toman did earlier on as well and see if he's going to get a penalty there. So there may be certainly some penalties being handed out after this one. It's clear to say that some of these cars are not in the most pristine of condition. They have been bumper to bumper, literally. And now, though, coming up on the final lap, Matt Richards, who put, honestly, what was a super clean maneuver onto Daniel Kish's teammate around Sunset, absolutely stole it away, and then within the same straight took himself 2 more places and got that first position. He has looked fantastic ever since, with a 2-second gap over his teammate Daniel Kish and Cito Vaya. It is a 1-2-3 for Zansho, the perfect race that they could hope for, and it is back-to-back wins for Matt Richards from the Nürburgring and here at the Sebring, and they do finish in style with the beautiful parade. You love to see it. Fantastic work from Zansho. Great finish in the end for those guys who put in a clean race.
It's always nice when you have enough time to slow down and get a photo finish, isn't it? Really good job there by Zansho. Also Varga to get back up into 4th and 5th place, with Martono getting 6th place, holding on. Unfortunately, not really quick enough to keep inside the top 5, but 6 is still certainly some nice points that he'll be picking up. Mocek will be very disappointed, as well as Kapamanshan not being able to capitalise on all of the issues that happened ahead of them.
Certainly was a entertaining race. There was a lot of action, not all of it the cleanest, there's no doubt about it. We had quite a lot of bumper cars today here at Sebring. You know, I'd like to say it's just GT Challenge, but they kind of had the same in Pro. I'm just saying, it was out there, but look at that. You love to see it. The perfect finish for Zansho, locking out the podium. Matt Richards, Daniel Kish and Cito Vaya, 1, 2 and 3.
You got to have a lot of trust in your teammates as well. Vaya could have just easily gone flat out straight all the way past them, but here's confirmation of the results indeed, and doesn't that look good in the top 3?
Absolutely does. 23 laps completed, and the McLarens locking out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Definitely the car of choice, it would appear, there, as the Bentley's got a little bit too bouncy. Presley Martono in the end started out in 2nd place in the main race, but 6th for him. David Rocek, honestly, to be honest, a good comeback to get back into that 7th place after the connection with Adriansi further down the field. Kurjan into 8th, Kapamanshan in 9th place, just loses a place, actually started out in 8th. And Jakovic, what a great comeback from him, up into 10th place. He was a DNF in the first race. He was collected in that first corner action. Diogo Silva in a similar situation. He manages to work his way back up into 11th. Kurtzen, after being sent spiraling by Yuri Toman, goes down to 12th place. And Remco Major involved in quite a bit of bumper cars there. Adriansi, well, he started out on pole in the main race, but down in 14th after having a bit of a disastrous lap there. Was looking good at the start to begin with, to be fair. Stepkowski, Mas, and poor old Philip Drace in the end down in 17th. Paul Auguslana, I don't even think we saw him in the main race. We saw him a fair bit in the sprint race, but he's down in 18th. Chris Shepard and Marquez down in 19th and 20th.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these drivers a bit further down really didn't have such a good day. Look at Nico Barkley, who's involved in 2 crashes in both races. Same for Christian Michel, as well. De Crow having quite a big accident. So it was certainly a carnage friendly, or not friendly race, I should say. And so hopefully we get a little bit more clean racing, but that is what these old school tracks here at Sebring do. You make a little bit of a mistake and you are going to be having a big accident.
Yeah, I mean, so now do we just say that Aiden can't cast challenge anymore and Cameron has to step in? I mean, if it gives Zansho a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's quite ironic that he wasn't here to see that, obviously, Aiden being part of Zansho. So I'm sure he was watching along nicely. But yeah, it was certainly an eventful race. And for Zansho to get that 1, 2, 3 is going to be great for them and their hopes of getting towards the promotion into GT Pro as well.
So just for confirmation, you can see Martono and Toman were the winners at Imola, and then Cinčić and Kapamajian, Cinčić and Richards, and now obviously we have back-to-back. So back-to-back sprint races for Cinčić. Jiri Toman, though, stealing that one away at Sebring, but Matt Richards with a back-to-back main race win. Fantastic for Zansho, obviously locking out that front three. And of course, that concludes here at Sebring. It does mean we're going to be moving on to Indianapolis for round number 5. That will be on the 24th of May. Cameron, I want to put it to you. Any driver of the day that you've got in mind there? Anyone you can think of? I think chat are looking towards Kurtzen, certainly a driver that's come in and done very well today. Obviously was looking great for a while there until he got slightly biffed off by Jiri Toman towards the end of the race.
Yeah, Kurtzen was doing such a good job. I mean, Cinčić did do pretty well, all things considered, but there was quite a bit of contact as well when they were coming through. So Matt Richards, he played that so well. He got the overtake on Daniel Kish when he needed to. Then there's obviously some mistakes for other guys ahead of him as well, which helped the situation. But I think just the timing of his moves, the strategy that he did within the race was also very good. So I say, at least for the feature race, Matt Richards for me.
I actually will agree. I think Matt Richards did very well. We saw a very clean maneuver on his teammate, which you have to, right? You know, when it's your teammate, you've got to make sure it works correctly. Did get very lucky, obviously, with Presley Martono and Martin Dillon having a little bit of an outing as they connected after turn 1, but manages to get himself back-to-back wins. The consistency to do that, obviously, to put yourself in a great position to start with the qualification, keep it consistent throughout the sprint race and get yourself in a great position to try and go there. And let's not forget, in the sprint race, he was right up there at one point, actually was running in second place just on the first corner until Cinčić retook that position. So fantastic work from Matt Richards today. Fantastic words for Zansho, locking out the 1, 2, and 3 podium. That has been the conclusion of Sebring. It was, no doubt about it, an action-packed, messy race. I would like to say other things, but I can't say them on air. It is a little rude. Cameron, thank you very much for joining me, stepping up and filling the big feet of Aidan Millward. He will hopefully be back for round number 5. For us, we will be back for the BMW Sim M2 Cup. That will be next Monday. Be the warm-up race, of course, starting out around about 7:20 CEST. That will be the warm-up race for the GT Pro, which will be happening next week at Indianapolis. We'll see you then.